Right,
I
yeah.
got
I got you. I got you on there.
you got me on it.
Yeah, I got
Yeah,
you in the last couple of sentences.
yeah, okay.
No, I think that's a good one. We talk about
Yeah,
that. And I've actually got some questions here as well. So, yeah, all right then. Devaluing coaching.
yeah,
So, I think this is a really important topic, maybe for people listening, actually. I think it gives people a little bit of a awareness
mm,
on coaching skill set. And, you know, in this industry, I think it's one of the only industries where it doesn't necessarily get respected in the same way that other professions do. And I think that's largely tied to, everybody thinks that they've got an idea, right? And for instance, like the amount of times that I have heard, "Hey Sam, how you doing, mate?" Just a quick one. I know you do coaching and stuff like that, but can you just do like a nutrition plan or a training plan for me or something like that, you
mm,
know? And it's almost like this assumption that, uh, they don't need your help and they know what's best for them despite not
yeah.
having any experience in this. And I think that is problematic because people think this is actually easier than it is to get a result in, and it's not. Like, if
Mm.
you want to become very good at something, then you need to have that guidance and experience from someone that actually has that experience. Just jumping on a few machines in DW Sports, they've closed down now, like, but Everlast, I
But,
think they're called,
all right.
or yeah, or JD Gym, a bit more current.
Yeah, yeah.
And just jumping on a few machines doesn't qualify you to know how to take control of your own journey and how to get a result, in strength or whatever it might be. But yeah, have you experienced this much, mate? Or
Yeah, but it's a good point actually, because it's like I wouldn't I wouldn't hire a plumber to come and like sort the heating out of the boiler and go, oh yes, all right, I know what I need. Just need to power flush the system, you know?
yeah, yeah. Power flush the system. That's a good analogy, actually.
I wouldn't because I don't know my head from my ass about plumbing or anything like that or anything to do with heating systems. So I wouldn't. I would be like, you're the expert. This is the result I want. I want my heating to work and I want the hot water to work. So you tell me what needs to be done and I will and we'll go from there, you know?
Right. Yeah, because, ultimately, you're paying for that. The difference is, I suppose, a coach, people pay us for the guidance and they have to execute.
Mm,
And the problem is, though, you aren't going to know what to do
mm.
if you don't have the skill set to know what to do in the
No, of
first
course.
place.
Yeah.
So I think people sometimes think, oh yeah, like I've lifted weights,
Mm,
and a similar analogy. Obviously, we were just chatting. Like, I went to into a boxing gym last week, and there's a big difference between me going on the bag and
someone
like
trying to
doing
take
some
your head off.
pads and then sparring again,
Yeah.
like last week. And there's a very, very big difference between the two,
Yeah.
and um, one is coming from someone with a learned experience who's been doing this for years and years and years, years and years, and has invested a lot of money to become an authority in what they do. And the other is just kind of doing some things that are involved in that, but never really taking a deep dive. And
Yeah.
point being, you can't just expect to navigate your own way doing this. Like, it takes a lot of time and effort to do this.
Mm. But right, go on.
No, that's it. I
No,
was done.
no, this is what I was said on my story the other day. I had a new client. I just got started with. He's a nutrition client, and I just posted about it. And I said in one of the other stories on there that a lot of people think that the value is in the initial like plan or program, and it's not. I explained that the value is in the coaching that you get along the way.
Right, right. Yeah, the guidance. And
Mm,
that's the other thing, right? Like, a lot of really good coaches. you might find, I've had this before, ages ago, where someone's getting a result and they're going through the process and they're like, oh, this is really simple, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah,
And it's like, yeah, it is really simple,
yeah.
but I've made it that way so it's simple,
Mm, mm,
because that cue that I've just told you to do, or, like this correction,
mm.
I've broken it down in a way that is
Simplify
very
it.
simple because I've learned through repetition in the last 10 years of knowing how to deliver the message exactly how it needs to be delivered so you hear it correctly,
Yeah.
you know? So it might look simple,
Mm,
and there are parts to this process that are very simple, but coaching is complex. It is
yeah.
very, it's knowing what
It's a
to
skill. Coaching is a skill,
is a
in
skill.
terms of the language you use, everything.
Yeah, so I think that that's something that's really important for people to hear because yeah, we get it all the time. Like you
Mm,
get it, I get it, and if you are this person that and look, we're not having a go at you, right? Like like it's hard to know something if you don't understand the levels to it. So
hmm
I can kind of understand why some people just reach out and go, "Hey Sam, mate, I know you usually do this service, and but I don't really need that. I just need, a couple of check-ins every week and just give me the program and I'll crack on."
Yeah.
Like I can understand that, but at the end of the day, you're missing the entire point when you say something like that because we are trying to deliver a service that is necessary for you. But
Mm,
you don't know it's necessary because you haven't got that level of insight yet.
hmm
So I do think that's very important because we hear it all the time, don't we? You
Yeah.
know,
It's the
um,
same with the sprint coaching. I've obviously had the sprint mentoring to educate me on how to coach speed because before I did that, yeah, I knew bits about it, but it was always like bits I've taken from here and there, but I didn't know how to look at someone run and go, all right, that's wrong, and that's what we need to improve on. And
right.
so invested the money to upskill in that, just the same as yeah, you would do now with obviously like you just said to me this morning, the amount that you've learned from boxing over the last few weeks. So,
Mm.
for example, like, you could look at me and you could pick out a ton wrong straight away, couldn't you, with my boxing even, So
Right,
that I
right.
think, yeah.
Yeah, definitely, mate. Definitely. But no, I think that's a really important subject to touch on. And the other thing as well, last thing I think that is also a valuable point is you pay for what you get in
Mm,
this industry. And I'm sorry, like, look, I understand not everybody can afford coaching. I empathize with that, of course. Like, we're all in different financial situations. But my advice is, and there is a spectrum because there are coaches out there that, quite frankly, take the piss.
yeah.
Um, is there a difference between a coach who charges £175 a month versus a coach that charges £1,000 a month? No, there's
Mm,
not in my experience. So there's a certain level there where, you know, there are certain coaches, not always, this isn't always true.
mm,
Because I know plenty of coaches that, quite frankly, are just rip people off. And they go on these mentorships and they think that it's cool to just charge someone 750 quid a month or whatever. It's crazy.
mm.
Um,
Because you're a good salesman.
exactly, yeah.
Yeah.
But then on the other end of the spectrum, if you're paying a PT, say, I don't know, an entire, and I'm talking about online coaching you specifically, because that's my world and that's, kind of what I'm into at the moment. But say an
Mm,
online coaching program and, they're charging you 50 quid a month for a program, check-ins, everything else. I'm not saying all of them, of course, because there's some great coaches out there who charge less, but for the most part, you do usually pay for what you get. You do.
yeah.
Whether that comes in the form of less access to the coach, just not much attention put into the program. Um, that's the way it is.
Mm,
And the reality is, people that feel confident to charge like we do, I'm more than happy to say. So I charge £175 a month.
Mm.
And I feel like, yeah, absolutely, I've earned that,
Oh,
over time,
100%.
you
God,
know,
yeah.
um, and likewise with you,
Mm.
so it's,
So I
yeah,
should look at like what you've done in like how long we've been in the industry. Who have we taken the time to learn from, like develop our expertise, and then yeah, how long have you been applying it to clients? So it's like if you add all that up, then that's where your value should come from.
yeah,
Um,
absolutely.
if you've
Yeah.
you know if you've been doing this for just like 3-4 years, then yeah, probably not. But
Right, right. Yeah. So, no, I think that's, yeah, really, really important one. Should we take a couple of questions, mate? Do you want
yeah,
to
go for it.
get into a
Yeah.
couple of questions? Okay. Um, is creatine actually worth it, or is it just something everyone repeats online?
Yeah, I'd say creatine is what's the most tested like sports supplement out there. Has yeah evidence for a profound amount of benefits. Physical performance, like especially in like strength and power based sports, anything where you've got to be like more explosive actions. Also potential neurodegenerative benefits, so
Yeah.
like helping with brain health long term as well.
Parkinson's as well. If you'd, it can
Yeah,
help. I think there was a study done.
potentially protect against that.
Yeah, yeah, okay, yeah, a good one. And it's a very relatively cheap form of supplement as well,
That's
isn't
dirt
it?
cheap. Yeah.
Yeah. So, um, okay,
Funnily enough, you weren't using it before, were you? I actually put you onto creatine.
yeah, I wasn't using. In fact, I'm granny in the house at the
Oh,
moment. I need
right.
to order some. But do you take some every day?
I don't know. No.
No, no. I haven't taken some in a while, actually. Thinking
Yeah.
about it, maybe I should get back on the creatine again.
Just when yeah, because I think, yeah, I don't know if necessarily you're powerlifting, but obviously just like strength training in general. I was just surprised when I had that conversation with you
Yeah.
when, to hear that you weren't using it.
What? Why don't you use it then?
So my biggest like concern with it is potentially if you are prone to hair loss, it can drive up your risk of that.
So that's why you don't use it.
Yeah, I'm just
Yeah.
yeah, just not risking it. I mean,
Well, you
would I,
spent a lot on your hair as well, haven't you?
yeah, would I rather have a full head of hair when I'm like uh 75 or have my brain degenerating? I'd rather be bald and have my brain, but yeah, we'll see how it goes. For the moment, everything's all right. So
Right. Someone's asking, do I need to train to failure on every set now, or is that just influencer stuff? Well, look, you know my opinion on this. I think failure is largely a byproduct of just progressively increasing load over time. It's not something you should chase necessarily, but
mm,
every study conflicts that, doesn't it? It's kind of like, yeah, everybody's after the, how many reps can I pump out and go to failure with?
yeah.
Um, None of that matters if the weight isn't heavy, you know. You'll notice the stress of this. You've noticed this in the training, and no, not recently, but
Yeah.
you notice it the next day. You
Yeah,
know,
yeah.
that's because it actually works.
Oh, it's the
Like
video I sent you with my face. I was like, look at the color of my face from rep 1 to 3. You're like, yeah, you can't fake that. You can't do that on a leg press or whatever. And my
you can't
face was
fake it, can you?
just
You can,
pink, didn't it? Yeah.
you cannot. Do you know what that is? Genuine effort.
Mm,
That's what that is. Now, look, I'm not bashing anybody, but you can fake effort on a lot of machines. I've
yeah.
seen it happen. You can fake. You cannot fake a limit set of 5 on a barbell. You
Mm,
cannot do it. Like if it's too heavy and it's grindy, you cannot fake that.
mm,
You either make the rep or you don't. And I've seen it before where people have missed a rep in front of me, and I've said, take 5 minutes, go again. Because I know you didn't put as much effort into that as you probably could. And what happens? They smoke the 5 reps.
yeah.
I've had that happen probably at least 20 times in
Mm,
the last 10 years where I've watched someone and I've gone, go again. And whether it's in that session or the next week, after I've said and kind of called them out a little bit and said, you didn't put all of your effort into that,
mm.
they've smoked it. So, look, a lot of this is about accessing a level of intensity that you never knew that you had. And that, that isn't me calling that person lazy or anything by any means. It's just that that person has never experienced that level of strain before.
Hmm.
And I'm asking them to push to that place just beyond there, you
Yeah.
know? And then you feel what that's like, and you're like, oh, I can do this. And
Mm.
then you start to reframe your perspective on effort, and
Yeah.
how much you've got left. So machines don't do that. I'm
Mm.
sorry, they really don't, because they use light weights. It's as simple as that. Um, uh, if I hit 10K steps a day, track my protein, and follow a plan like I currently am, why am I still not lean? Go on, you tackle this one.
Well,
Because you know me, I'm gonna go off, and I
I'm guessing you didn't go off about, yeah, don't worry about being lean, but I mean, yeah, how long is a piece of string? There could be any number of reasons, but if the person was doing the steps, I think you said hitting the protein,
10K, yeah, hitting protein.
yeah. I mean, my first thing would be you're over consuming your calories, and you're either doing that knowingly, so you're just eating more than you know you should be, and then being disappointed and upset why you're not getting a result, or you are unknowingly doing it, and this is what a lot of people do. That are they Monday to Friday they diet well and they're really strict, and the weekend comes and they think, oh, I just deserve a break.
Mm,
I deserve this because I've been really good on my diet, so I deserve to go out and drink, a chunk of alcohol, or I deserve to order a big takeaway or go out for this big three-course meal, whatever it be. And then it's like, oh, why is my body shape not changing? It's because whilst you may feel you deserve it, yeah, like physics doesn't work like that. You've got to sustain the calorie deficit,
right.
which is why your nutrition has to be set up adequately to also live, but get you the result you deserve or
Yeah.
want.
Well, good. Well answered, mate. I put that perfectly. Um, Maybe take this last one. Let's see. Um, my feed is full of science says workouts. How do I know what's actually true? Well, hey, you've been bombarded with a bunch of conflicting messages online, haven't you? Why don't you tell the people what you've been conflicted
Well,
with?
I was asking you, I
For
was
literally
asking,
before we came on.
yeah, about the difference between back squats and front squats. So, I mean, I just looked into it because obviously I couldn't back squat when my neck was bothering me. So I front squatted for like what 2 weeks. So I got what three front squat sessions in, and I was like, oh, let's just have a look into this. The benefits of the back squat versus the front squat for someone who is using the squat as a means to improve their force production to benefit them with sprinting,
Mm,
because that's what it is for me. And I came across a number of different rationales. Someone was saying, and I knew straight away, I was like, God, this would piss off Welsh Mike Tyson, because one said that using the front squat is more beneficial for someone looking to improve their sprint speed because of the torso position is more similar to the same position as that you will push out in when accelerating. And then I
mm,
thought, yeah, that all they're doing then is turning strength training into specific where it's general.
Yeah, exactly.
Um,
Yeah.
and then obviously the argument for the back squat was the greater loading potential. The other argument against the back squat was that yes, there's greater loading potential, but there's more overall CNS fatigue. But then that could conflict you with your sprinting. But then again, that's down to how you set up the
Planning.
program and load management. So
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Well, that's the point, is that you even get kind of conflicted about stuff and you're
mm,
experienced.
mm,
So, people online these days that have not got any experience, they see all these different messages. I can understand how it's really difficult to know to trust, really,
yeah.
you know. Yeah, like my advice is if you can, try and find one experienced coach and follow their advice.
Mm,
That's my advice. And block out the noise, because there's a ton of noise on these science papers and all this sorts of stuff and these science workouts. I think at this stage it's better to just trust one person and run with it.
Yeah, yeah, definitely.
Because otherwise you end up getting so confused and bombarded with all these different, and ultimately the results speak for themselves. And
Mm.
that's something that I always back myself on. You know, I don't really have to say a lot because you look at my page and it's there. You can have looked at it and um, so if someone doesn't have that, I would say that's probably another big red flag. If someone's got just research papers everywhere and they haven't got any actual results
Yeah.
back in that, then I'd say that's a big red flag as well. People know my thoughts on research. I don't think I have to go over that again, but
I know, yeah, no, I know
fucking
exactly.
hell.
Yeah, there's tons of it now, and there's a lot of it, isn't there? Like no, it's not shitting on, but a lot of maybe young coaches who are new to it, and they're saying, "Oh, don't use this. This is a superior exercise because EMG studies or whatever, whatever, whatever."
Fucking EMG. The EMG. That's the one that gets me, the EMG. They're measuring the wrong thing, mate.
Mm,
I don't care about the EMG.
yeah,
I don't give a fuck about the EMG. I care about the force production. You know? Like, I don't care about your muscle activation if you're producing hardly any force whatsoever.
yeah.
You know? Um, it's mind-boggling. Mind-boggling. Anyway. Maybe one more. Let's see. Um, do I actually need to track calories or not? Or would you say this is just for people who compete?
Again, goal dependent. I think initially when someone is, yeah, first learning how to eat appropriately for their goals, tracking can be a very useful tool because it gives you that awareness and
Right.
education around how much or how little you're eating. Like you could be someone that is trying to get stronger, um, build more muscle mass, and they're chronically under eating. I had it once with a competitive rower, 16-year-old, 15, 16-year-old, doing a huge amount of output in terms of his rowing, his sport, and just couldn't get enough calories in to sustain him. So for someone like that, it was about utilizing even more processed food in his diet, which a lot of people were like, "Oh my God, no!" But it's using the right tool at the right time. So for someone like him, he was massively under eating. You could go the opposite end of the spectrum. Someone's like, as we just touched on earlier, why am I not losing weight? The data doesn't lie. It's right there in front of you if you track it, and you can see how much you're consuming. So that's it. It tells a story. But equally so, if you feel like it's just not it's going to cause more of a headache for you to track your food, there are plenty of other methods that
Sure.
you can go with that don't require it. And
I,
it's
I, oh, sorry,
what?
mate. What
No,
were
and
you
it's
saying?
not even doesn't have to be a long-term strategy. It could be just a number of weeks, a couple of months, and then move away to something else if that's what you choose.
Mm. Yeah, 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 it's brilliant what you said because it could be a short-term thing,
Mm,
that people use just as a little education tool and then move away from it. My whole philosophy on measuring food quantities is always personal preference.
mm.
And what's going to work best for the person.
Exactly.
Um, you know,
Individualized.
Individualized. So, for some people around food quantities, they'll do that, right? Like they'll use it and move away. To be honest, that's most people. For other people, they just can't go anywhere near it because of their personality. You
Mm.
know, I remember one time before, there was a guy that was I coaching it? No, I was in the facility, and I found out at one point. Long story short, um, I didn't know this at the time, but he was tracking his chewing gum, mate. You
Oh,
know,
gee. Yeah.
and then we had to refer him out.
Right.
Obviously I heard that and I was like, yeah, fucking refer him out. He's obviously in a
Yeah.
bad way. So tracking can really, that's not the fault of tracking.
No, it's more the pursuit of the person.
It's
So
the
there's
pursuit of the,
likely a body
right.
composition goal. and they're just
Yeah,
getting
right.
so into
So
it that they just give up.
it's the way that it was packaged and framed, and that's why I
Exactly.
speak the way that I do these days. I'm completely anti all of that sort of stuff. Um, there's that, right? These which people, those people, maybe they're a bit more obsessive, right? Naturally, which is weird with me, right? Because then you've got the other type of personality type that you know can handle track and see it as a tool.
Mm.
I've got OCD, right? So it's funny because I can use tracking and I quite enjoy tracking
Mm.
where from what you said really just to make sure that I'm eating enough,
Yep.
more than anything because I'm very active throughout the week. I want to make sure that I care about my recovery and I want to make sure that I'm eating enough food for my performance. um but I can come away from it too. I'll have extended periods away from it, like if we go on holidays or we went on a cruise last year, like there was no internet, so I couldn't track or anything
Mm.
like that. So I have a very healthy relationship with it where it doesn't control me and I'm not fixated on the specifics. I just want general kind of guidelines to know roughly where I'm at in the day. And
Hmm.
if that's you and it doesn't cause a problem in your life, and it's just a tool. Great. I use plenty of tools in my life,
Yeah,
I think that's probably a balanced approach looking at tracking,
definitely.
But yeah, anyway, mate, should we call that one there?
Yep, I'm
And
done.
do you want to see us out? You haven't seen us out in a while, have you?
Yeah, guys, if you enjoyed this episode, please leave a rating and review and subscribe on iTunes or Spotify, and we'll catch you in the next episode.